Bobby, we really enjoyed the interview you did with John Najarian and Lehman, but that was a few years ago. To start, can you explain the business behind SKUx and the problems you're trying to solve?
Yeah, absolutely. No, super excited for our work with Hedera and just, congrats the growth of the network. The last couple years since the interview, we have been heads down building out our technology, our infrastructure, and our strategic partnerships. When we think about SKUx, and we talked, some of this in the interview at NASDAQ, when you look at the promotional offer industry, there's billions and billions of dollars spent every year that goes to fraud and really doesn't end up in consumers' pockets, right? And so when we think about SKUx, and we took a very different approach to the payments industry, specifically on how we could solve pain points in the ability for consumers to get access to these funds and to their payments, we're really focused on two things. Number one, simplifying consumer access to promotional spend through digital first instant payments and enabling merchants to be able to easily accept item level payments and to do that without sharing their basket data with third parties. So very focused on that as a company, and you have a multi-patented approach, and obviously very excited about our work with Hedera in the work of that process.
Yeah, we actually saw some of the patents that you guys just announced a few weeks ago. Now, let's dive a little bit into Hedera. How exactly does SKUx leverage the Hedera network for your business?
Well, so let me kind of back up a little bit, and I'll just give you a really simple use case, right? So today, one of our partners, a very large beverage brand, right? And so previous to SKUx, when consumers were having, in the customer service vertical of their business, let's say there was a bad product experience, that brand was sending a physical check or a coupon to those consumers that were calling up from a customer service desk, right? Obviously, that took weeks, and there's a lot of fraud in terms of those actual funds getting to the consumer. So when you think about from a SKUx perspective, we empower that brand to be able to send a digital branded instant payment directly to the consumer's mobile device that can be tracked and traced throughout the entire life cycle of that payment delivery. So number one, better consumer experience, physical to digital, from a sustainability perspective, lowering costs, enabling consumers quicker access to those funds, and being able to track and trace those funds from issuance to redemption. That is what SKUx is completely focused on in a variety of different industries. When we think about Hedera, what does that add into the mix of that? From our perspective, it's taking that a step further and being a fully transparent company and saying, we're not only going to issue those payments, remove the fraud that the check currently had or the coupon had where you couldn't track it, but take it a step further and actually put that payment on an immutable ledger and be able to show the issuance, redemption, and transaction stamp of those payments, which is, from a payments industry and a retail industry, it's really groundbreaking. And it's SKUx going out with our partners on the front line of really showing traceability and fraud elimination, which is why, from a Hedera perspective, it makes so much sense.
Yeah, I was looking at your website and some of the brands you have on there are really impressive. Now, was that something that you had to go through a long sales process for, or were they looking for this kind of solution?
I think the retail ecosystem, between merchants and consumer packaged goods brands, we've been working for years, really building out relationships with merchants and with brands and with agencies that represent many brands, right? And so coupon fraud is a huge thing. We touched on it in our interview at NASDAQ with Lehman, right? There's movies that have been made about the subject. Right? SKUx is not a coupon company. We're a payments company, right? So when you move into the payment space, and you think about the way that consumers are interacting today digitally, there's a lot of opportunity to create traceability again, create the ability for brands to track the ROI and effectiveness of their promotional campaigns. And so we've worked with a lot of the leading brands. We're working with a lot of leading merchants right now on creating new ways for them to engage consumers, right? Their customers.
That makes perfect sense. Now, I want to broaden our lens out a little bit here. You've talked about why this is important for SKUx and Hedera, but let's talk about the broader general retail industry. Why is this important when we open our lens up a bit?
So from a promotional CPG perspective, again, hundreds of billions of dollars are spent every year that go to fraud, go to liability, merchants waiting 60 to 90 days for their funds of settlement that you could settle near real time as a payment transaction, right? So those are things that stick out. When we think about item level payments specifically to SKU Pay and some of the announcements that have recently come out with SKUx, how do we empower merchants to be able to create and accept item level payments? So this is a payment that only works for a specific product without sharing their basket data externally with third parties, right? And that's one of the things that we've been very focused on in building our tech when we started the company. That process today, there's a lot of friction that goes in the acceptance of those payments. There's a lot of sharing of data that merchants don't want to do, right? They haven't had an option until SKUx to do that in a way where they could keep their data secure within their domain, but still enable the perspective of a payment for a specific product being accepted. Think about the healthcare market, right? Healthy benefits is $190 billion a year and growing, right? Business in the US, which is everything from Medicare, HSA, FSA, these payments that require product level restriction within the acceptance of that payment. So that is something that SKUx is helping to empower alongside some of these, consumer packaged goods and government disbursements and other use cases where the same platform technology can apply. So it's super exciting, super innovative work. Really feel like, we've been building something and kind of in the trenches and starting to see this come to light with some really big partners, and it's a good time for us.
Yeah, so I mean, you're starting with some coupon things, but you said you're a payments company. You shouldn't be thought of as a coupon company. What do we have to look forward to in the future?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of great work of others, but for sure not just SKUx, that are trying to eliminate some of the coupon fraud issues. Shout out to the Coupon Bureau and others that are doing great work to really elevate those standards to a next level in couponing. SKUx, again, not a coupon company, payment company. So when we think about enabling payment networks, whether that be the card networks, whether that be, gift cards and partnerships that we have there, whether it be processors to be able to create that item level payment and promotional enablement, loyalty use cases, that's some of the stuff that we're excited about and you're going to hear about over the coming weeks and months with SKUx. So.
Well, Bobby, thank you so much for swinging by today and talking about SKUx, and we're looking forward to having you back as you continue on your roadmap.
Absolutely. Look forward to being back.
I'm now posting these interviews of Hedera builders independently to my channel. The community, influencers, and media outlets are free to use this content to spread the word on what's being built on Hedera. Once they're all uploaded, you'll be able to go to my channel and search for whatever topic or team you're interested in to find more information. Or you'll be able to get the most recent Hedera news by watching the latest HBAR Weekly update. So check them out.